A very good evening to one and all. I thank all the participants for turning up for this program, and I would like to welcome the resource person for today's session, Mr. PICHOTI MOSE Jeremiah. He is a self-motivated, industrious, hardworking and a dedicated person and who takes up many challenges and work out solutions with others to achieve a certain objective on time with excellence. And he is doing his bachelor's from Technical University of Mombasa, his bachelor's of science in molecular biology and forensic technology, and he has various key skills and competencies acquired to his credit, and he has various practical and laboratory techniques, negotiating skills, communication and interpersonal skills, etc. And he has analyzed in various duties and responsibilities for carrying out his practical works and for monitoring his work in progress. And we are very happy to welcome such an eminent resource person to be a part of this Ryan Publishers to give his speech today. We welcome you, sir, and the session is now hand over to Mr. PICHOTI MOSE Jeremiah. Sir, are you there? The session is yours now.
Thank you for giving me this chance to give a presentation about the trends in forensic. So I just want to share my screen so that everybody can see. I want to share my screen. This is the screen that we're going to use.
Yeah, the screen is visible. Yes, the screen is visible.
I hope everybody can see that.
Can you? Yeah, others can see. Can you please give the slide share option, sir?
Okay. As you've heard, my name is Jeremiah PICHOTI. I've done a bachelor's in molecular biology and forensic technology. So we are going to look at the trends in forensic. As per the conference today, it's forensic is an application of the methods of natural, physical sciences to matters of criminal and civil law. Forensic science can be involved not only in investigation and interrogation of different kinds of crimes, but also in matters which a crime has not been committed, but in which somebody is in charge with civil wrongs such as will fraud, pollution of air or water, causing industrial inquiries. As criminals are getting intelligent day by day, forensic is also an updating on itself by introducing new methods and techniques. Therefore, this webinar will provide a common platform for educators, researchers, forensics scientists, of course, lawyers and police personnel against to gain knowledge, to acquaint with advancement in the field. We will have to start by looking through what forensic entails. Anthropometry is one of the two nouns of human measurement. It's a series of systemized measuring techniques that express quantitatively the dimensions of human body and skeleton. It was first scientific system used by the police to identify criminals in the past. Criminals could only be identified by the name or photograph. The method has also been used in prison system to examine and categorize prison inmates. Ballistics. Forensic ballistics is the examination of evidence from firearms that have been used in a crime. One of the advancements in forensic ballistics is high-speed ballistic photography. Ballistics specialists often use high-speed camera in order to identify and match bullet trajectories to understand how bullet holes, gunshot wounds, and glass shatters are created. Another one is forensic chemistry. Forensic chemistry is an application of analytical chemistry to forensic analysts to solve criminal cases. The object of the analysis is the crime evidence, which in turn can be a biological sample or a seized material. Significant advances in layer technology and the development of novel light detector have dramatically improved the spectroscopic method for molecular characterization over the past decade. The application of this novel biospectroscopy for forensic purposes opened new and exciting opportunity for the development of on-field, non-destructive, confirmatory methods for body fluid identification at a crime scene. Toxicology. Forensic toxicology is the use of toxicology and disciplines such as analytical chemistry, pharmacology, and clinical chemistry to aid in medical or legal investigation of death, poisoning, and drug abuse. When a toxicological analysis needs to identify and quantify metabolites from unknown drugs, a screening can be performed by different chromatography techniques such as liquid and gas chromatography to mass spectrophotometry. The primary concern of the forensic toxicology is the legal outcome of toxicological investigation or the technology utilized, but rather they obtained an interpretation of the results gotten from the investigation done. It can range from the drugs or tissues from the body that can be analyzed to get the chromatographical readings to detect whether somebody has been into drugs or not. Forensic documentation, it's the analysis of software for forensic accountants, and is advanced in the field of forensic documentation. When a forensic accountant is trying to track illicit funds through a sea of paperwork, link analysis software is an invaluable tool to help highlight strange financial activity. This software combines observations of unusual digital financial transactions, customer profile, and statistics to generate probabilities of illegal behavior. This illegal behavior can range from signatures, changing of the wordings of, for example, an agreement, changing the values of cash, for example, on checks, and fake documents. We have forensic biology and serology. Forensic biologists examine blood and other blood fluids hair, bones, insects, and plants and animal remains to help identify victims and support criminal investigation. Forensic biology involves DNA profiling, DNA phenotyping, 3D facial reconstruction, and morphometric microbiological forensic, virtual autopsy, DNA methylation, and next generation sequencing method, which could prove essential for criminal investigation in finding missing person, nabbing murders, and sexual assaulters. Rapid DNA is a technology that was developed by the Department of Homeland Securities that used DNA to make family connections during crisis and kinship analysis. It has also been used for by forensic analysts to help in solving crimes. Footprints. The footprints are covered from a crime scene and are referred to as questioned footprints. This can range from footpaths, marks from shoes. They usually indicate how somebody walked. Here, footprints could first be assessed by preliminary footprint examiner for quality in terms of clarity of footprint marks and the quality of visible morphological features and the number of footprints. This can help determine the number of people who are at the crime scene, the activities they were involved in, and what exactly they did and how they left. The expert could determine whether the case could be accepted if now the footprints are presented to a court or to examiner. The footprints are supposed to determine whether the case, if it's true that the people who are involved in the crime were really the true ones. And at the same time, could also filter out details of the crime provided unwittingly by liaising law enforcement officer, for example, a suspect's previous conviction or the suspect's relationship to the victim. This means that if the victim and the suspect are related, if the first suspect is related to the victim, then it means the best way to get to the person who did the crime is by analyzing the footprints created to the crime scene. Secondly, the preliminary footprint examiner could ensure reference or exemplar footprints are taken from the suspect or a group of suspects or any other person required to be ruled out of the investigation. This makes it easy for the investigators to find out exactly who the suspects are for the crime. So straight into the major application of forensic, the advancements that have been done on forensics. The first one is laser ablation inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry. It applies when broken glass is involved in a crime. Putting together even tiny pieces can be key to finding important clues, like the direction of bullet, the force of impact, or the type of weapon used in the crime. Through its highly sensitive isotopic recognition ability, laser ablation inductive coupled plasma mass spectrometry machines help glass samples of almost any size down to their atomic structure. Then forensics are able to match even the smallest shard of glass found on the clothing to a glass sample from a crime scene. In order to work with this type of equipment in conjunction with forensic investigation, one needs a bachelor's degree in forensic to perform this. So, for example, if we have somebody who has been involved in a crime, for example, he had a gun and he shoot through the glass, we can just analyze their clothes and see if we have traces of broken glasses, which we can analyze in relation to the crime scene to detect whether the person was present during a crime. This can help in convicting these people, whether they accept that they were involved in the crime or not, because we'll have already evidence about it. There's alternative light photography. For a forensic nurse, being able to ascertain how physical damage a patient has suffered can be difference between life and death. Although they have many tools in their disposal to help make these calls quickly and accurately, alternative light is one of the coolest that help in even help to see the damage even before it's visible on the skin. A camera such as the Omnichrome uses blue light and orange filters to clearly show bruisings below the skin surface. In order to use this equipment, you need MSN in forensic nursing. This is an equipment used to check for internal defects of, for example, an insult which cannot be seen by a physical method, but via the blue lighting on the alternative light photography applies. There is high-speed ballistic photography. You might think that of it as right away as a tool of forensic science, but ballistics specialists often use high-speed cameras in order to understand how bullet holes, gunshot wounds, and glass shatters are created. Virtually anyone from a crime scene investigator to a crime scene examiner can operate a high-speed camera without any additional education or training. Being able to identify and match bullet trajectory, impact marks, and exit wound must be done by someone with at least a bachelor's in forensic science. Video spatial comparators. For a crime scene investigator and forensic scientist, it's one of the most valuable forensic technology available. With this machine, scientists and investigators can look at a piece of paper and use obscured or hidden writing, determine quality of paper and origin. It's sometimes possible to complete this analysis even after a piece of paper has been so damaged by water or fire. This looks intelligibly to the naked eye. In order to run this equipment, one at least needs a forensic master's in forensics, in documentation and analysis. This majorly applies the use of forensic documentation in trying to analyze the viability and the originality of the document presented. We have digital surveillance for Xbox device. It's a gaming. It uses gaming system as a potential place to hide illicit data, which is why criminals have come to use them so much. In one of the most groundbreaking forensic technologies for digital specialists, digital surveillance for Xbox device is being developed to allow authorities visual access to hidden file in the Xbox hard drive. The digital surveillance for Xbox device is also set up to record access sessions to be replayed in real time during court hearings. So it applies majorly in forensic security. That's why somebody needs a bachelor's degree in computer forensics. There is a 3D forensic facial recognition. It's more of an anthropology thing, because it helps in reconstructing majorly the face of suspects from a description made by a victim or a third witness or observers. It's considered the most reliable, and it's definitely one of the most interesting available for forensic pathologists, anthropologists, and forensic scientists. The software has been developed in a 3D way such that it can take real-time human remains and extrapolates a possible physical appearance. So it can range from an existing person or somebody who died years ago, whereby the bones can be restructured. From the skull, one can see and reconstruct the original muscles of the face, such that it can depict the image of the person. For one to use to be conversant about this, one needs a bachelor's of science in forensics or anthropology or medical degree. But majorly pathology is very key in this process. DNA sequencer. Most people are familiar with the importance of DNA testing in forensic science labs, because majorly it can be used in solving cases of, for example, rape, cases of claimed kids. It's most people don't know exactly what DNA sequencer are and how they are used. Most forensic scientists and crime lab technicians use this DNA profiling and identity of criminal system, whereby the evidence is provided by the skin samples, buccal cavity swabs, or even sweat can be used in DNA profiling. In a case where the samples are highly degraded, however, they often turn the more powerful DNA sequencer, which allows them to analyze old bones or tooth to determine the specific order of the person's DNA nucleobases and generate a read or a unique DNA pattern that can help identify that person as a possible suspect or a criminal. In this case, if bones or teeth are used, it means that they have come from the skeleton or somebody who has died a long time ago. When DNA is exposed to water, it gets broken down. That's degradation. So that's why bones are used, because they cannot be easily be degraded. There is forensic carbon dating. Carbon dating has long been used to identify the age of unknown remains of anthropological and archaeological findings. Since the amount of radiocarbon has increased and decreased to distinct levels over the past 50 years, it's now possible to use this technique to identify forensic remains using the same tool. The only people in forensic science field that have ready access to carbon dating equipment for forensic scientists. You usually need this application to help in determining the age of bonds. This through checking the half-lives of these bonds. One usually needs a master's in forensic anthropology or archaeology. There is magnetic fingerprinting and automated fingerprinting identification. Forensic technologies, crime scene investigators and forensic scientists and police can quickly and easily compare fingerprints at a crime scene with an extensive virtual database. In addition, the incorporation of magnetic fingerprinting, dust, and on-touch wanting allows investigators to get a perfect impression of fingerprints at a crime scene without contamination. This means that the investigators don't need to get so much in touch with the impressions made at the crime scene, which can lead to the evidence getting lost. So they use magnetic fingerprinting and automated fingerprinting identification to ease in this process. When using magnetic fingerprinting and automated fingerprinting identification, one requires a bachelor's in crime scene investigation or an associate degree in law enforcement, magnetic fingerprinting. Link analysis software for forensic accounts. When trying to track illicit funds through a CE paperwork, link analysis of software is an invaluable tool to help highlight strange financial activities. The strange activities can range from unknown transactions, unknown signatures, or anything dealing with the funds are not clear where they come from. The software combines observations of unusual digital financial transactions, customer profiling, and statistics to generate probabilities of illegal behavior. So the software analyzes and tracks how funds are deposited and withdrawn into certain accounts. In order to accurately understand and interpret the findings with this forensic technology, a master's in forensic accounting is necessary. Telescopy. Telescopy usually is the lip prints formed by the mouth. They are normally lines of fractures in the form of wrinkles and grooves present in the zone of transition of human lip between the inner labial mucosa and the outer. Skin crime scene that can be valuable, especially in the case cases of lacking other evidence like fingerprinting, telescopy can be used as an alternative way in which investigators can find out the perpetrators of a crime. They are most effective when lipstick are used to develop them. This makes it easier to identify ladies involved in a crime much faster than men. So in this case, actually, women are more of targets if they are seen on the crime performing a criminal offense, then telescopy can be used on them. We can talk about touch DNA. Touch DNA is one of the major advancements has come in the field of DNA. Police are able to obtain what's being called touch DNA from objects that were simply touched by the suspect. This means if someone is being questioned by a police officer and he or she happens to pick up a newspaper off a table, the officer can take the newspaper to obtain the DNA simply from the paper that was touched. These can apply swabs on where the individual touched and pick up the sweat for analysis of DNA, or just even cut off the part that was touched. That's in case of a magazine or a newspaper. Portable testing units. There are advances that allow the quicker analysis of DNA without wasting time. Tests on DNA that historically could have to be sent to a lab and where it could take 3 to 5 days to process the results can now be obtained in as little as 90 minutes via a portable testing unit. This could lead to more rapid apprehension of suspects in violent crimes. This is more of like portable labs for DNA analysis. Google Glass. Google Glass has been available in the general public for a while. It's now also being developed as a tool for law enforcement. An officer on patrol could be able to use glass to record what he or she as they cover an area and search for information, such as business information or the lives in the homes they were passing. If the glass is connected to facial recognition software, they can even get real-time information about anyone they meet. Immunochromatography. Immunochromatography is another advancement in the technology of forensic that aims at assisting the investigation into sexual assaults. The new method will allow technicians to look at blood samples taken from assault victims and test it in a way that lets investigators know if the blood is natural or resulting from an injury. This helps investigators and forensic technicians narrow down which blood needs to be sent to DNA testing, lowering the response time for case and overall workload in the forensic centers. Majorly when we have this kind of immunological chromatography, it means that the evidence provided has been mixed up with other blood samples So it needs to be separated such that the main sample should be analyzed for presentation in court of law. There is fingerprint protection. Fingerprint is a new development in forensic technology created by the British researchers in Loughborough, which makes it impossible for criminals to move their fingerprints from crime scene. The university researchers worked with the British Ministry of Defence to create a technology to retrieve fingerprints from the crime surfaces that have been immersed in water, exposed to high temperatures, or have been deformed. Cover crop is dedicated to being the cutting edge of technology advancements for law enforcement and first responders. When we talk of cover crop, it's a representative today of how KENAS or one of our other programs could be an enhancement to the Department of Fingerprinting Service. Massively parallel sequencing. It's another advancement in forensic, according to Sri Hankes and Stam, who investigated this research at Houston University. Massive parallel sequencing gives more information about DNA evidence than ever before, which will be critical in helping to solve missing person cases or situations where there has been a larger disaster with many deaths. Hair bacterial assessment. I know it sounds yucky, but it might be the most important for forensic biologists to use in analyzing the crime suspects. Hair bacteria to match the sexual criminal suspects to the victim of the crimes. Scientists realized that hair samples have microbes popular that are mixed when people engage in sexual activities. This makes it easier to prove that an offender committed an act if that there is a match in their microbe population to that of the victim. Time tracing fingerprints technology. Detective dust from prints use it if the suspect's fingerprints are present at the crime scene. Now, it's possible that we can dig even deeper into this process with the advanced technology that reveals when a fingerprint has been left behind. This can help eliminate innocent suspects from suspicion and identify prints that were left at the crime scene long before crimes were committed. 3D models to help examine the victims. Photographs from crime scene and the morgue can often be hard to jury and other to examine and understand. With the new 3D photograph technology that uses image layering, investigators can learn and share more about the evidence they find. Intricate details revealed on corp, like the relevant internal damage that may show signs of old or repeated injury, but that can be seen in the regular photography, which will be available. These are the few examples of the cutting-edge forensic that the law enforcement is getting their hands to touch the criminals. Police departments and the government agencies, as well as the labs that perform forensic testing and research, will get more sophisticated if they are equipped with this 3D modeling equipment with time. Forensic science technology evolves the same way as every other area of technology. Things get faster and cheaper over time as new technology replaces the old. As a result, crime solving becomes faster and more efficient and accurate. There is laser abrasions. Laser abrasions, just like the MS we talked about earlier, where the laser beam are essentially broken down, the samples into tiny particles which are then digested, ionized, and put into a spectrophotometer for analysis. There is retinal scanning. Iris recognition today combines technologies from several fields, including computer vision, pattern recognition, statistical inferences, and optics. The goal of the technology is near instant, highly accurate recognition of a person's identity based on digitally represented images of scanned eye. The technology is based upon the fact that two iris patterns are alike. The probability is higher than that of fingerprints. The iris is a protected organ which makes identification possible. Iris recognition technology looks at the unique characteristics of iris, colored areas surrounding the pupil. While most biometrics have 13 to 60 distinct characteristics, the iris is said to have 266 unique spots. Each eye is believed to be unique and remain stable over time and across the environments. We have Incar Computers. Vehicles are fast becoming another important source of digital evidence in criminal investigation. Traditionally, when a vehicle is involved in a crime scene or a terrorist attack, the investigators focus on the acquisition of the DNA, fingerprints, and other identifying material that are usually non-digital in nature. Modern day cars, particularly smart or driverless cars, store wealthy of digital information such as recent destination, favorite locations, routes, and personal data like call logs, contact lists, SMS, pictures, and videos. This paper can describe some of the challenges associated. They can be used to detect how people traveled over time. Gunshot detection system. A gunshot detection system is a typical comprised of one or more sensors that accurately and reliably detect live ammunition being discharged. On positive detection of gunshots, notification alerts generated by the system are typically displayed to an assigned computer screen within a security control room for investigation and action by a person or integrated security system. It provides reliable and accurate information about when and where the firearm has been discharged for further investigation by the distinct person. With the information provided, it gives people the ability to make an informed decision, to take suitable action, whether to run or to hide. So they help much more in preventing crimes from occurring. There is Rapid ID system. The Rapid ID system releases biometric identification system using 1 to 10 fingerprints for enrollment. The system uses FBI mandates 500 dpi scanner, providing a quick positive identification of individuals in local, state, regional, or national databases. Print search is ideal for any high security facility where positive identification is a mission critical requirement. Unlike most statewide IFS system, which can at times take hours to return results, print search provides identification in a matter of seconds. Forensic psychology. Forensic psychology is one of the most advanced that have been related and studying various aspects of both crime and criminals. For example, the difference between violent and general offenders, as well as risk characteristics for both, are now more fully understood. Moreover, there have been advances in therapeutic and clinical work with offenders who have special characteristics. There's the use of drones. Drones are also being their part in to help the forensic as well as the police. Sophisticated drones can shoot high definition videos with high altitude than ever before. That means that when a police department is leading with a situation where a riot or protest may be taking place, or there is an armed suspect hiding in an area where it could be dangerous for officers to search without some kind of aerial surveillance, they can not only put up a timed information for officers on the ground, but can provide recording of what to be used in court. Palatal Reggae. With the introduction of intraoral scanners in dentistry, direct acquisitions of digital impression is gaining popularity as it provides advances of reducing the number of procedures required as well as storage space. Studies have investigated the accuracy of intraoral scans, which encompasses two parameters: the trueness and precision. Numerous factors can affect the accuracy of intraoral scanners. Typically, they can be categorized into three: that's scanning principle, scanning environment, and data system synthesis. Palatal Reggae can be used to identify individuals because different people have different palatal Reggae. Therefore, it's necessary that it's an advancement in forensic that has been put in place such that it can distinguish suspects from innocent individuals. Finally, we've come to the end of the trends in forensic presentation. I would like to welcome one or two questions before we finish up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the excellent presentation. Now I would like to request the participants to clarify your doubts. You can post in the chat box, or else you can unmute your mic and you can ask the resource person.
Any questions so far?
So far, nobody has posted any questions, but the chat box is overflowing with thank you messages and good presentation and all those things. So there is a question from Yahoo. How does Google Glasses aids in forensic deduction?
Yes, how does?
Google Glasses aid in forensic deduction.
I'm sorry, I haven't had the question well. I could like you to maybe repeat it.
How does Google Glasses aids in forensic deduction? This was the question posted, or else the person can unmute the mic and ask the resource person.
Anyway, let me talk about Google Glasses and forensics. Maybe if that's how he or she had structured the question.
So she has resent the question again. How does Google Glasses helps a forensic scientist in identifying criminals?
Oh, okay. Now I can get the question correctly,
Okay.
because the question was not rightly structured.
Okay.
Yes, Google Glasses, as per the presentation, they are used to detect a minute. For example, if for example there happens to be a gunshot on a glass, or even somebody has been shot by a gun or something. So usually Google Glasses are used to detect. They are used to detect the extent of the injury caused by the gunshot wound. I hope I have answered the question.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And one more question. One more question is Ms. Chitra has asked, have you done any real-time forensic and can you share your experience?
Real-time forensic, like what I have applied in forensic is we did an investigation about the death of individuals in the country, whereby we investigated how the individuals died, and try to assess their cause of death. It was a one-time project, so that's where I've applied my forensic so far.
So thank you, sir, for your explanation, and I think there are no more questions. The feedback link is being posted in the chat box. So the participants are requested to fill the feedback link to receive their certificates.
Good evening, sir. I have one
Yes.
question.
Okay.
So you told about reconstruction of facial, like real-time human beings. On what basis they will reconstruct that facial, sir?
The facial reconstruction.
Sir, yes, sir. On what basis they will reconstruct, sir? Either bone or any preference images or what else, sir? Could you please explain that more?
Okay. Initially, usually it used to be people could check, could reconstruct the faces of victims or suspects using a description from a third person. That's, for example, a witness. But there have been advances whereby softwares have been used to reconstruct the faces of individuals, for example, suspects or even the victims. That's in case if the victim has died, for example, 10 years ago. We have the bones, and actually the whole skeleton. We can reconstruct how the person used to look like using the modern software.
Who with the face or facial bones, like skeleton, skull, anything like that?
Yes.
So with the help of skeletal or skull, with the help of that, we can reconstruct it. Right, sir? Am I right?
Yes. The skull can help you reconstruct the face of an individual. It's very easy to reconstruct.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Sir, I have one more question. And you also told about those touch DNA technique, where
Yes.
cops used to use suspected criminals to touch the objects. Like they asked them to pick up some newspaper, like that. You told one concept, now, sir. Sir, could you get me?
The
You
last
told
part,
about touch, sir.
the last part is not clear, so maybe.
So yeah, you told about touch DNA, sir.
Yes.
That cops ask suspected criminals to touch any object like newspaper to pick them, and from that object they will take their DNA from that. You told that concept. How can we suspect that the newspaper has only the criminal DNA, because from the paper industry, like many human beings were being touched those materials, lesser, like during preparing those pulp and paper, and during in enterprises, like various process, there is possibility to involve human beings. So how can we suspect that will be the criminal DNA on basis of that touch DNA?
Okay. Let's take, for example, either me or you. One of us is a police personnel or a forensic investigator, and you suspecting somebody of convicting a crime. You're suspecting of being involved in a crime that happened like 10 minutes ago. The person was at the place, but the person denies to be there. Especially what you'll do is you'll go, for example, if the person was at a tea room somewhere, you can go and check the cups that they use to take tea. You analyze all those cups, you take the DNA sample from the handles of those cups, then you analyze and compare the DNA to that of this suspect's DNA. From there, we can detect whether the person was at the crime scene or not. That's what we call touch DNA. Like touch DNA is first touch and the person goes. For example, when opening, if for example when you're opening a door, you touch it once, you've opened it and you're gone. So if you get DNA from there, it's very much easy to analyze it and find out about the person who did the suspect or the person who convicted a certain crime. I hope your question is well answered.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So we can also find that how many DNA fingerprints and when it was imprinted, like that. Am I correct, sir?
Basically, what exactly we get from those swabs made is majorly DNA that comes from the sweat of the hands, which can be analyzed to produce the DNA. So if we're really talking about the fingerprints, we are going a different way in that you'll have to check the number of fingerprints impressed on the cup that the suspect used.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think there are no more questions. Thank you for answering all the questions. So we can wind up the session. I thank all the participants for actively taking part in this webinar. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for your good presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Jeremy MOSE?
Yes.
So you can leave the session. Thank you for giving such an excellent presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
sir.